I'm Austin Lugo.
I'm Andrew Harp.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about the Parallax View.
Before we get into this week's film, next week we're going to be watching Zombie Flesh Eaters or Zombie 2. I'm always a big fan of zombies films, and since it is the month of October and Halloween is just around the corner, I think this is the perfect Halloween film. I haven't seen, I'm looking at his filmography right now, and I don't think I've seen, yeah, according to Letterboxd, I haven't seen a single thing that he has made. So I'm excited. But you've seen The Beyond,
Yeah,
right?
I've seen like three of his movies, and yeah, he's like one of those like horror Italian movie directors. So his
Love
movies are
it.
like very off kilter. Like it's not like it doesn't. I think yeah, because of like ADR, the way that Italians, especially at the time, like it'll be you know, it'll be a strange experience, I think. But yeah, I love The Beyond. Probably should rewatch that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, that'll be great. And joining us, certainly not for the last time, is my son Henry. You'll probably hear him babbling in the
Mhm.
background. He's just rolling, playing with some toys. So
Good.
supposed to sleep longer, but he didn't. So I haven't slept past 6 a.m. in 9 months. So that's been
Cool.
that's been fun. I mean, thank God I'm not a morning person or I'm not a like late night
Yeah,
person. I've always
that's
been
true.
a morning
Yeah.
person, so it's not like the
Yeah.
biggest deal in the world because I usually wake up, but like sometimes like there's just you just want to sleep till like 6:30 or 7. Maybe
Yeah. And
just
you
like
can't.
once. Oh no. Henry, no. No, Henry. He was getting into cables.
No.
Hi, Henry. Hey, buddy. But this week we watched The Parallax View.
Hmm.
I wanted to watch a 1970s film because I did get a collection of 70s films. This wasn't in that collection, but that was okay because it
What
was on
was
Criterion.
any of the are any Pakula movies on there like Clue or All the President's Men? Are they in that
All
Blu-ray
the President's
collection?
Men is on my collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Pakula is known for his like Paranoia trilogy,
Hmm.
which includes Clue, All the President's Men, and this movie, The Parallax View, and I watched all three of them like in anticipation of the podcast.
So I haven't seen, I think this is the first of his films I've seen. Of course, obviously, I know All the President's Men, I know Clue,
Hmm.
Sophie's Choice, right? Some very popular films, very
Hmm.
well-known films, but I just haven't got around to them. Have you read All the President's Men?
No,
Where'd
I've
you
not read
go?
it.
No,
No,
okay.
I've seen the movie several times. I've seen the movie. I think that might have been the
Really?
third time I've seen the movie. I remember seeing the movie when I was like, I think like a kid,
Really?
like, and I didn't get it at all. Like, I could not follow along. I watched the movie, but like, I could not follow on what was going on at all. I think I was allowed to watch the movie because it was like, there's no like sex or violence in it.
Hmm.
So like, I was allowed to watch it when I was a kid, but I had no clue what the fuck was going on because it's just like it's the whole movie is just like the process of them like figuring out the story and that's it. So
Right.
some like talking to people on the phone and going around and stuff. But I rewatched it recently for maybe the third time like again in anticipation for the episode and that's a great movie. It's a great movie. Just really well done, very tense, foreboding film, really good.
Yeah.
I like Clute a lot too. I'm gonna try not to talk about either one of these movies too much, but honestly, out of all of these three movies in this Paranoia trilogy, Clute might be my
Mhm.
favorite. I think it's
Really?
the best one. Yeah, it's a really solid film. Um, Clute is nice too because it kind of has like the feminine touch of
Okay.
the performance from Jane Fonda, and
You can keep going.
she is like really good in that movie. She adds like a lot to it, and it's still kind of like a great paranoid thriller kind of thing. Very psychological as well. But I really like the Parallax View. It's like very good. And there are certain sections of it that I think are amazing.
I, when we started this film, one of the things that I love about this film and love about this era of films is I am of the opinion that the 1970s was when film had mastered Technicolor because the blues, particularly of the sky, and like I'm thinking of like films like Dirty Harry and this film
Yeah,
and a lot of these 1970s films that use Technicolor, it's never looked better. Like, I mean, the just color has never
true.
looked better before or
Yeah.
since. And I think we
Yeah.
need to figure out how to do it again because
Well,
it's,
and along with that, not only does it look good, but this movie's subject matter, I just don't think you could like do it today, or you could, but I just think that like this movie, among others, like are just so are just so out there, because I mean the Parallax View is basically about like assassinations,
yeah.
right? And I think it approaches it in a very kind of like interesting way that I think would be hard to kind of like it would be hard to like take like similar subject matters today and make movies about kind of
Mhm.
similar things, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? In a way where you're kind of being very kind of like critical of.
Mhm.
I just don't think like, I guess you could say like free speech is not nearly as free as it was back then in terms and this is a Hollywood movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In which I mean this Hollywood movie basically posits that like JFK was assassinated by, it goes against the grain of like kind of like the
Hmm.
of the Warren Commission and the
Right.
government and the opinion of the government that JFK was like assassinated by just like one guy, when in actuality he was probably assassinated by multiple people in a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, that's kind of crazy that they were making Hollywood movies about that at that time.
I think one of the reasons that this movie would be tough to make now, and the reason it kind of exists in this very singular moment in time, is it is able to toe that line of conspiracy without it being hyperbolic or super. Well, it's not that it's not serious, but
Hmm.
I think it'd be very hard to do that now just because of the current, like, the way in which people see the world and the way the world exists, like the way we
Yeah,
see conspiracy or quote unquote conspiracy is very different.
yeah,
And
it's
I
true.
think, right, because I mean, like the piece basically opens in the opening credits and the closing credits is that really incredible push in and pull out of the basically like group of six men who decide the fate of.
The Warren Commission.
They're the Warren Commission.
Yeah, that opening scene is great. Like when they see him get like fucking shot through the window, they're like kind of
That's
like
awesome.
they're like at the top of the Space Needle, right? And they see him get
Mhm.
shot. The independent political candidate, right? And he gets fucking gunned down. Great scene. And yeah, the push in of the commission is fantastic.
I love that moment. And I found myself, I watched this movie with Emily and Henry. Henry watched this movie.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, he understood every word.
he understood every moment of it, every second of it. I think it's really interesting that, and this doesn't happen until well into the film, and we're kind of like we're mid
Hmm.
assassination kind of stuff. Which, by the way, that stuff does take a while before we really kind of figure out what's going on, which I think is really interesting. Is for the first half of the movie, we're not really sure what.
It's the first half of the movie. I would say the first two-thirds of the movie are very like fun and kind of like
Mhm.
adventurous. Like Warren Beatty is kind of like, I don't know, he kind of goes on this like little adventure. And then I think as the movie progresses towards the end, it gets like more and more like dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of this movie trying to figure out what kind of movie it was because at first I thought it was going to be like, oh, this reporter and he's
Yeah.
out on the beat and kind of classic 1970s almost detective
Yeah.
story sort of thing. And then once he goes to Salmon Tail, I was like, oh, it's going to be like one of those he goes to, like, big city, small town sort
Hmm.
of, right, collides and you have a bit of that, right? But I was amazed how we only end up spending like 12, 15, 20 minutes in Salmon Tail, and then we leave. We never come back to Salmon Tail.
Right, because he gets, yeah. Yeah.
And there's this great line, like I said, about two-thirds of the way through the movie, where his, the guy he works for, the editor of this newspaper, uh,
Yeah.
he's going to call the FBI, the CIA, right? He's going to call somebody. He's going to tell somebody about it. He's like, no, don't tell
Mhm.
anybody. He's like, oh, do you think they're part of this like group? And he's like, no,
Yeah.
but like the bureaucratic tendency is to cover up mistakes.
That's a great line.
And like, I love that ideology that like the government isn't out to get you or like the FBI or the
Hmm.
CIA or like these. right?
Yeah.
Like the government in itself isn't evil. They're just so bureaucratic that they're
Yeah.
just
Well,
incapable.
the movie's about assassination, but it's also about like the privatization of like
Mhm.
assassinations. So it's kind of like about the privatization of like everything,
Yeah.
right? And like uh I feel like there are many movies and stuff about this where it's about like even assassinations aren't necessarily ordered by like governments or things like that. They're like contracted to other people,
Yeah.
right? Like, like there's a great introduction by filmmaker Alec Cox where he talks about this movie at length for like 15 minutes and he says a lot of really interesting things. One of the things that he mentions is the fact that Edward Snowden, when he leaked all the NSA information several years ago, he wasn't like directly working at the NSA. He was working for a contractor that was contracted by the NSA. You
Oh
know what I
shit.
mean? Like it's like stuff like that is kind of like, oh yeah, like this movie's very prescient in that way, in that it protected the fact that like it's like yeah, the government like it's something to worry about, but also like private corporations like they're out to make money and they know everything about you, and they have all your information and data and they're going to make money off of it and they're going to like sell it.
Yeah.
Like I think the movie is very prescient in that way, and that like it kind of is sort of like, what if like assassinations, like the crazy thing, very obviously on the top of people's minds during this time. What if like political assassinations were outsourced to a private company, and they had the thing too where like they have like the survey questions or whatever to determine if
Yeah.
you're the best candidates for their company. Yeah, like yeah, it makes me laugh too, but it's also kind of like, oh yeah, they were right.
They were right. I love that right, because first he goes to that psychologist, and right there's the chimp playing Pong,
Yeah, they got the
wh-
chimps.
which is I love it. It's so much. It's great fun. And he asks him about it to go over it with him, and then he decides to take the test, and it's never really clarified if like he purposely takes the test in a way that he can be hired to be an assassin,
Yeah, it's
or
kind
if
of hard to
he's just
tell.
antisocial, like if that's just his who he
Or
is.
or or the Parallax company already knows who he is. They know that he put in
Mm,
his they know that he put in his survey, and then he became their dupe, right?
yeah,
Like it was like a plan all along in order to dupe him into being accused of being the assassin.
right.
So I mean that's kind of how I look at it a little bit.
No, I could definitely see that because what's confusing about those interactions he has with, I guess, his supervisor at the
Hmm.
Parallax is he immediately lies to him, and like it's very clear to us the viewer that they're gonna figure it out. Like what you're doing is a bad plan. Like they have way more resources than you think you do, and you pretending to be someone you're not. Like it's not. It's obviously not
Hmm.
gonna work. And he's eventually confronted about that, and in that really great scene, right, where it opens on in his room, and you just see the guy's shoes. Like there's some really incredible
Yeah.
lighting in this film, and the use
Yeah,
of
it's a great looking
shadows,
film. It's just
and
like, yeah, it's just like amazing looking. Like,
incredible. Really
yeah,
long,
like,
slow shots, and there's that shot of right, you just see the guy, like basically the only thing in the light is the guy's feet, and our protagonist walks into the room, and a very long time passes before
yeah,
he realizes that he's in the room. But there's that confrontation there where he's like, "I know you're not the guy you say you are, so who are you
yeah.
really?" And
And then
then
he lies again, right?
and then he lies again, and then they quote unquote believe him, right? They check his story out and he's fine, but at least it's clear to me,
Hmm.
and I think it's clear to all the viewers that, oh, like I think you're right, Andrew. Like they knew the whole time who he was, and right, they're just
Hmm.
kind of seeing how he
And,
reacts to it.
and he just became, and then of course by the end of the movie, he becomes a scapegoat and everything, right? Like, which I think the movie is a little like kind of like circuit, like kind of like it kind of goes full circle a little bit, right? Because
Mhm.
on the Space Needle, you had the two people, right? The two waiters, the guy, right? The assassin that Warren Beatty sort of like points out. I think the reason to like, so the thing about the movie is that like it starts with like Warren Beatty. He basically finds out that all the people that were around the assassination of this politician that happened 3 years ago are being like murdered one by one. They're
Right.
dying in mysterious circumstances, and I think it's because right they kind of I think it's to sort of eliminate the fact that there were more than one person there, right?
Oh yeah.
because like you have both those waiters and only one of them, right? The one guy fell off the roof of the Space Needle.
Hmm.
And you could kind of like you could even like make it kind of like a full circle moment because maybe that guy could have been a patsy, a scapegoat, maybe a guy that was being blackmailed or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It's possible.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there were like photographs and things of this other guy that also probably did the shooting, if not helped.
Hmm.
And he appears in the movie and almost bombs the plane and then Warren Beatty saves it. And um, but yeah, you kind of like make it kind of like a circle in that way, right? And it ends and begins with the commission and yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions in this movie, and I think this movie does a good job of not like
Yeah,
holding your hand and trying to answer them.
it's
But
like a confusing political thriller in some ways.
I did find myself confused a few times. And one of the moments, what was the plane? So, and
Yeah.
I might have missed it because I'm also like taking care of Henry while I'm watching a movie. So, there's multiple things going on. So I might have just missed something. But I had two questions about the plane, which is first, why were they blowing up the plane? Because there's a political candidate on the plane. Is that
Yeah.
okay? And then how did he know there was a bomb on the plane? Because I missed that part.
He was following the assassin
Okay. Okay.
because he puts his luggage to for the luggage to be put on the plane, but then he doesn't
Hmm.
get on it.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I understand. Okay, I missed that part, so thank you for
And it has the senate that one senator is on the plane.
right, right. And I do love I think the plane scene, I mean the climax of the film, like the ending with the shooting is one of like is
That scene rocks.
one of the great set pieces. Like every single moment of
Mhm.
that is near perfection, but the plane scene might also be one of my favorite scenes just because him
Mhm.
trying to tell them that there is a bomb on the plane
Yeah, he writes
without
it on the mirror and then he like has to write it on the cocktail napkin. Yeah.
which is like a genuinely like even now would be a really terrifying thing to do because if you just go up to which I think was his fear too, right? If you just go up to the pilot or one of the stewardess
Yeah.
and you're like, "Hey, there's a bomb on this plane," like you're going to prison forever, right?
Right.
Like there's no and so him trying to figure out a way to tell them without right being the one being told is really fascinating and I love that whole sequence where he writes it on the mirror in soap and then he opens the door and of course there's someone there so then he's got to like really fast erase it and then that incredible moment right he writes on the napkin he places the napkin on there and we just sit there right and
Right. He like yeah.
this is one of the things that's great about this film. And I think
Yeah.
what separates it from a lot of the thrillers of the time, and certainly thrillers now, is it is an incredibly patient film, right? It is just willing to sit in that tension for just long periods of time. And
Yeah.
that napkin scene feels like it takes for
Very good.
fucking ever, right? You're just wait, like you just watch them hand out napkin after, and there's nothing going on, right? There's no real dialogue, right? There's really great
Yeah.
sound design here and some really great conversations going on in the background, but there's nothing really happening, right? You're not hearing anybody talk really. There's no sort of action sequence here. All that's happening is women are handing people drinks and napkins, and it goes on and on and on, right? And it's every time they hand that napkin, you think, oh, this is going to be the one. This is going to be one, right? You're just waiting for the reaction. And having that very slow, tense buildup really pays off, right? When you find out that, oh shit, right? They figure it out. And I love that they don't
Yep.
land like close. They fly back to, I mean, I don't know how long they've been in the air, but they go all the way back to Los Angeles and then they walk off
Yeah.
the plane. And then, again, another like great moment, right? We're just, which there's a couple of shots like this. Like I'm thinking of this shot early on where they're he's looking at the dead body uh,
Hmm.
of one of the people that's been murdered, and right, it just holds on this shot where you really only see like a third of the frame, and you can see like the
Hmm.
dead guy and like the blue lights, right, and you don't see anybody, right, you just see the dead guy, and then you see sort of like a couple of people walk through, and then right, still holding on it, and then you finally see our detective right
Oh,
walk through.
it's his dead girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
they have like a scene where she's like, they're trying to kill me, they're trying to kill
Great
me, and
edit.
Warren Beatty's like, whatever, and then it cuts and she's like on the slab. It's like, oh, that's a great cut. Like just get right to it,
There's
and
a
then yeah,
lot of
he
great cuts
realizes
in
something's
this.
wrong.
Like the
Yeah, there are
editing in this, even though it's not
great editing.
very fast paced, I think it's very patient film. It frustrated the hell out of Emily. She did not enjoy this
Hmm.
movie. She wanted to make that very clear that she said this was the worst movie she's ever seen. But she says that about all of the movies we watch for the podcast. So I would take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, it's all right. I don't think it's that bad.
No, I think it's a great film, but it is a film that tries you, right? It is a very patient film, and like the whole time you're kind of waiting for this thing to happen. And I think
Yeah,
what's so wonderful about the editing in this film is I think it's one of the best edited films I've ever seen. Like there's some cuts in here that are just so brilliant and
yeah,
so well thought out, but it is so slow and patient, and I don't think that kind of editing often gets celebrated the same way. Like there's a reason, you look at the winner of right best editing for a film at the Oscars every year. It's always those kind of action, right? Like F1 one and those kind of very like fast-paced kind of movies. And there is some great editing in those films, but I think there's something even more fascinating and fantastic about a film that is willing to be as patient as this film is, and to
yeah.
have like those moments, those like really great cuts, right? Like that moment where we
Hmm.
cut to her death, or my favorite moment in this movie was uh, that scene which there's just so many cool like set designs here, but it reminded me of the Holy Mountain. Like that was the first film that I thought of when I saw this scene. Was the scene where he's sitting in the chair and he has his fingers on the.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. But
Hmm?
they like they put like a fucking like an avant-garde short film like in the middle of the movie,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
I love
Like I
that.
like that a lot. Where it's like the juxtaposition, right? Like
Mhm.
love, mother, father, happiness, like country, like all this stuff, like and they have all these like juxtaposing like images or whatever, and then they put them out of order and stuff, and that's a great like little short film that they put. Uh, to what goal that was supposed to be, I don't know, but yeah,
Doesn't matter. It's a great short film.
yeah, it's a great like short film. Like, yeah, that's like one of the best parts of my movie in the movie that I think.
I mean there's just like again like talking about the editing and like the way they pair images together, not just like the way at the beginning, right? They have these very specific definitions of like it's father, mother, God, country, me.
Shit like that, yeah, like me,
Uh,
yeah, like
and not just like the way they kind of like reconfigure these moments. Henry's playing with my
yeah,
pop filter. But not only the way that they kind of reconfigure things to like switch country and God, which is really interesting, and
yeah.
right, they certainly have whole research papers on that idea and the idea of father and mother and me and sexuality and all of that. But then just like some of the cuts, like one of my favorite moments in this film within a film is it cuts to God, and then it's a cut
Mm.
of MLK Jr., and then the very next cut is the burning cross of the KKK.
Yeah, yeah.
That perfect cut, like no two
Yeah, no,
images.
the whole thing is really cool. Like it's really well done. I don't know like who cut that. I don't know if I don't know. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like
know.
it's very out of place. There's nothing really like that in the other two Paranoia movies.
Oh, really?
Uh, no, not really. No. I wonder. I do kind of wonder who cut it. Oh, the image of Thor is also interesting throughout it,
Yeah,
which is weird.
I didn't exactly. I mean, obviously, this is very like pre. I mean, comic books are kind of becoming a big thing, and I think I remember us watching a movie a while ago that like talked a lot about comic books. I can't remember the name of the movie. I mean, obviously, the Crumb talked about comic books, but there was
Yeah.
another movie that we watched not too long ago that uh,
Mm.
discussed comic books a lot, and I can't remember what the discussion was exactly or the film exactly, but it is interesting that out of all like the superhero characters, they chose Thor, who is of course, the son of um, Odin.
Hmm.
I don't know if, yeah, I
I don't
can't,
know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know why they picked Thor out of like any other, like why not like Superman, right? That one makes a lot of sense to me because like that's very kind of like our idealized idea of what America is, and this film has a lot to say about like what it means to be an American and what America is, or maybe some other superheroes are up there, but Thor. I didn't quite understand, other than maybe like he's a violent superhero, or I don't know, he's all powerful.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but yeah. It's
I
like the
got-
it's like the it's also like it's kind of like similar to like the brainwashing scene in A Clockwork Orange, right?
yeah.
Like that kind of thing, I
That's the
guess.
first thing when he sat down. That was one of the other thoughts I had other than Holy Mountain was the Clockwork Orange scene, which of course is the
Hmm.
most famous scene of kind of brainwashing, I suppose. But
Yeah, of
I,
like you're gonna watch a film and it's gonna, be crazy or whatever. It's like okay.
but there's some really great
Hmm.
like use like I know I've talked about set designs a lot, but like finding some of the buildings that they use,
Hmm.
especially that Henry. What do you think, Henry? Yeah. That last set piece, like, oh God, those escalators with the
Hmm.
lights atop, that just looks so cool. And
Yeah.
there's something very alien about it, right? It doesn't feel earthly. It does not feel of like this
Yeah.
time period, or it just feels very kind of strange and weird. And there's a lot of architecture, I guess. And then of course the when we do finally get to that last scene, just the shot of like the red, white, and blue tables from up above. Like there's that amazing shot,
Yeah, that room is awesome.
which may be my favorite shot in the film, where it is the bottom two-thirds is, and I think this is after he gets shot, right? So he's like dead on the cart, and he's
Yeah,
kind of
he's
like
like running at the tables.
he's
Like,
running to
yeah,
the
I love
tables.
that shot too. I love
But
that
then
shot
like
too.
the top, not even third, maybe like the
Hmm.
top fourth or the top fifth, you can see like the black, the shadows, and you can see him walking in that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like that is a perfect shot. And I think this is something that kind of like what makes a great shot great is very often when we kind of decide like where we want to put a camera is we're kind of just thinking about the centerpiece, right? We're kind of just thinking about where's this person's face on the screen,
Hmm.
but utilizing the whole image, right? Because there's a whole lot of things going on like that. I think it sometimes can be hard to hold on to an image for that long because right you're staring at one thing, but there's like 10,000 things going on at this time because you have people hiding, you see like the police officer
Hmm.
comes, the ambulance comes, right? They bring out the stretcher, and then you still see like the band members, right? They're there too, and right there's all these things that are happening all at once, and I couldn't help but think of my favorite film, right? Thinking of Playtime where
Yeah, that's true.
you're almost
Yeah.
overwhelmed, right, with all these things that are happening simultaneously, and you're just trying to like it doesn't, right? There's nothing pushing you to say, right, look at this or look at that. They're kind of all given even light in the
Hmm.
piece, and so you're kind of just allowing your eyes to look from one thing to the other, and that happens throughout the piece, right? I think of much earlier on in the film when they're in Salmon Tail, and there's that great shot of inside the sheriff's house where on the left side of the screen is our detective and on the right side of the screen is is
Yeah.
that police officer, right? And there's that phone call, like he picks up the phone and he hears it, and it's just a great
Yeah,
moment,
that's a
right?
great
There's
shot
so many
too.
great moments like that where we just kind of like sit there with those shots,
Hmm.
and there's kind of multiple things going on. It's
Yeah, that's
very
a great 10
enjoyable.
shot where he's about to walk in and the phone rings. I like that one a lot. Yeah. 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 I'm thinking about, I don't think I've ever seen like a movie with Warren Beatty in it before. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've
I
ever like watched him in a film.
I was very nervous. So like obviously he's a very famous actor. I recently just read Mike Nichols' biography, a really great biography. Just I think it's just called Mike Nichols, a biography. But he was very close to Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
He didn't work with films on him a lot, but like they kind of worked a lot together, kind of on the
Hmm.
outskirts. And I'd seen a couple of his Warren Beatty's films coming up to this, and I was never impressed. Like the performances I'd seen from him in the past, I would say were
Hmm.
not good. So I was
Okay.
a little nervous coming into this, but I think he does a great job. Like I think he really well
Yeah.
toes that line of sort of like being crazy but also believable and paranoid, and because I think that's a very hard thing to do, right? I think it's very easy, we talked about this earlier, right? It's very easy to become sort of hyperbolic, sort of absurd. I mean, this is something that
Hmm.
Stanley Kubrick, right, struggled with Dr. Strangelove, is like Dr. Strangelove was originally supposed to be a drama, but they couldn't figure out how to make it serious. And I think this is something that like can take it seriously. Like this is a film that does take the idea of privatization and perhaps like the bureaucracy of the government and the assassination attempts of
Mhm.
political leaders, right? I think it's very easy to for that to be sort of blown out of proportion. And not that there's like not crazy things going on, but I don't know, maybe like the reason maybe the reason this works well is because it doesn't sort of start off very big. I mean, there's right very hectic moments early on like uh that great car chase scene, right, where his car is driving into the grocery store and
Yeah.
stuff. But like it does start relatively small, right? We start with him not believing her, and then her ending up dead, and then going to Salmon Tail, and then slowly sort of ballooning into this bigger piece, rather than just
Mhm.
introducing us to this whole thing. And I think withholding so much information about the parallax view is really interesting because by the end of the view piece, we really don't still know very much about this company.
Except that they like outsource they're a political assassination
Yeah.
contractor, I like I like the Warren Beatty um performance too.
Yeah.
Alex Cox, he talks about how Warren Beatty is able to both perform as like the journalist, that's the kind of the gung ho sort of like journalist who is very compulsive,
Hmm.
does dangerous things, but he's also able to act. He's able to play that character who's also the playing character of like a misanthropic man, right? Because there's that scene where he goes to like his like apartment or his hotel room and he's like cooking something on the stove and he drops it everywhere. Like he's trying to play like a role for that guy too. So he's
Yeah.
like, so like yeah, Alex Cox made a good point. It's like Warren Beatty is playing a role who's also. Playing like a role, so it kind of has like a layers to it that I think is very
Hmm.
interesting that I didn't really think about until like Alex Cox pointed it out. um Yeah, no, I like him a lot. And you were talking about like the car
Yeah.
crash scene, and I'm also thinking about like the scene where they're like the bar fight. Like these scenes, like to me, like indicate sort of like this sort of like adventurous, kind of like fun-loving tone almost,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just like that it's like it becomes more like set in the fact that like it is a political thriller, you
Hmm.
know, and it sort of like sets in like the dread sort of like sets in more and more. It's very unusual in that way.
Yeah. The piece definitely starts off a lot more. I mean, I don't know how lighthearted it can be, but I feel like the stakes aren't as high as they get towards the end of the piece, and there's this sort of slow build up of those stakes. I mean, like I do think of that Salmon Tail because like I thought this was going to be right once we got to Salmon Tail, this was going to be the rest of the film, right? We're going to spend the rest of the film in this small town, and we're going to explore sort of all these like little parts of it, right? And it's going to be like this big city, small town kind of thing, and that was going to be the piece. And I think it's really interesting that we spend so little time there. And I love the bar fight scene itself is interesting because the way they shoot, and this is true with the way they shoot a lot of the action sequences here, is they're not cut in a way that is typical of especially for like a 1970s action sequence where there's a lot of fast cuts and a lot of
Hmm.
close-ups, right? A lot of moving around. There are these really long takes of them just like throwing, like beating the shit out of each other, right? Like throwing each
Hmm.
other through walls and all of
Yeah,
this.
it's a crazy scene.
But it is like so, again, so slow and patient, and it is a really interesting way to film this action sequence because it's not typical. It's not normal, right? Like if you were to be, if you were teaching a student how to film an action sequence, you wouldn't tell them to film the scene this way because it shouldn't work, right? Like an action sequence is supposed to be very fast paced and there's a lot of throwing of
Hmm.
punches, and this is just a lot of like cameras on sticks or kind of sitting in the background and sort of watching the fight happen. It's very interesting, and I think it does something that a lot of these sort of 19 thriller paranoid films and even 60s and maybe into the
Hmm.
early 80s films do, which is there's this sense of we shouldn't be there, right? We're kind of we're kind of watching something that we shouldn't be watching, right? We're kind of the fly on the wall, as it were, and we definitely feel that in this film
Yeah,
too.
it's like a sense of like voyeurism. We feel like
Hmm.
voyeurs.
Yeah,
Yeah, these political thrillers are very very voyeuristic. I think Clute even does a better job of that, of like instilling
oh
that
really?
feeling. There's a lot of things I can't stop thinking about that movie just because I do think it's like a little bit better than this. Um, but um, but I still like this movie a lot. But yeah, like the voyeurism part of it is interesting, and sort of like the voyeurism also how it's attached to um surveillance, right?
Hmm.
Another movie that came out in the same year as the Parallax View is of course like The Conversation, which is very similar
Right.
movie, which is about which is also about the privatization of surveillance,
Hmm.
which is kind of like a voyeuristic thing to do, right? He like that character is very voyeuristic, right? He's like
Yeah.
recording people's conversations and he's doing all these things, right? And of course, that is also about like people being hired to uh do things, very unseemly things, right? Like
Hmm.
surveillance. Parallax View is about like people being hired to kill. Conversation about people is about people being hired to collect surveillance and information
Yeah.
in order to destroy people. But it's interesting. Yeah, both these movies came out the same year. Um, I think I still prefer The Conversation, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy this film a lot, but I think there is something. I mean, maybe it's just the reveal at the end of the conversation. It's so hard to beat that reveal.
It's pretty good. Yeah, and the reveal at the Parallax View is good too, to where you realize like, oh, he's a patsy. Like the whole
Hmm.
time, like he's
It's all
like
part of the plan.
it's all part of the plan, right? Like he and the company, like they did it, right? Like
Yeah.
they found like the perfect guy to commit the crime,
Hmm.
because over time like all of his friends and everybody that he knows is being killed, and being killed like his newspaper editor, the one guy that kind of believed in him and like kind of like thought of him and supported him, is dead. And once that
Yeah.
guy dies, it's like, well, what, like he has no alibi, he has
Hmm.
like nothing to go off of. So
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
everyone think he faked his death, right? Because everyone thinks he's dead.
yeah, everybody, yeah. Right, that's true too. I forgot about
Hmm.
that. Everybody, yeah, he faked his death. Everybody thinks he's dead. So yeah, like yeah, so like there's all these, you realize like in that moment where he's looking at the gun and people point at him and they see him, like
Yeah,
you realize like, oh shit,
it all
he's the
makes sense.
assassin. He's like the assassin. So I like that reveal too. The Conversation does have an amazing reveal. The way that that sort of like happens, the way it's filmed, is pretty amazing. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy the Parallax View ending because, and I like it too, again, like how it kind of like, again, kind of circles back to the beginning where you kind of think like, well, was that guy like a patsy? Was he being like set
Yeah.
up? So it is kind of interesting. It's sort of like even more cynical, like, because like political, it's super cynical because it's like political assassinations, like they happen, um, they happen for ideological reasons. So it's kind of funny to think about it in a way where it's like, um, it's being done in a way that's not even ideological. It's almost purely like for capital gain.
Like,
Because you don't even know like who's wanting to kill who.
right.
It doesn't
And
matter.
you don't know anything about any of these people's political views or like
Yeah.
opinions on anything, right? It's very like whenever the few times we see these political people, like it's extremely vague, right? They're just connecting them with George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, like every single politician to have ever existed does that.
Yeah, like yeah, the scene with like the signs and like the
Yeah.
marching band is very, very good. It's very like over the top and very funny. uh yeah, where they like, yeah, you're right, like they can like those comparisons to that politician are very funny because it's like, yeah, it could be anyone, right? I supposedly it's supposed to be like a very popular politician. I'm assuming all these politicians that are assassinated are people that are more or less popular, right?
Yeah.
Like I think like that's the idea, right? Like they're gonna get elected because a lot of people like them, and
Mhm.
so they need to be killed.
Yeah. Yeah, there is I think thank you, thank you. I think the darkest idea of this whole piece is that this group of assassins doesn't have a political view. Like there's something almost a little
Yeah, they don't.
comforting in the idea that oh, like they're super right wing or left wing or like they have these very specific political
Hmm.
beliefs because I don't know, maybe there's just a way you can justify it in your own mind, but the idea
Hmm.
that oh no, they're just killing them because they're getting paid to do it, and it doesn't really
Hmm.
matter their political beliefs or opinions. Like there's something very
They can't be
dark in
reasoned with.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah, like a force that can't be reasoned with. It's
Hmm.
only it's force and its power. Like its decisions are only determined by like the market. Like that's it. Like it's not determined anything. It's not even really determined by like ideology or like beliefs or whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it. It's like totally like at the behest of like the market. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, Alex Cox talks a lot about that in his like little video, like about yeah, like the privatization of everything, right? Like the
Hmm.
privatization of like, surveillance, the privatization of like assassination and how like fucked up it is, because it's like, it's like, I like the he looks at like the flyers, right, for the Parallax Corporation, and it's secretive. Like it doesn't say anything about assassination.
No. No, it's so, and even like I love that, right, all those conversations he has with the supervisor, which are all amazing scenes, but like they never say it, right?
Right.
They talk around it
They
the whole
never, yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Like
that's
even
true.
like when
Yeah.
he's listening to that tape, right?
Yeah.
The scene where the editor is assassinated, which is again another just really great cut, right? Cutting from the conversation to him listening to the tape of that
Yes.
conversation. Incredible cut. But they like never say that like what they like they're assassins, right? They're always
Hmm.
like very vague about it. They're always kind of like going around, like they never say anything. um
Yep.
he's never like given an assignment.
Well, they say like he's doing security work,
Right.
right? That's the thing that they always say, the cover that they always say. And in
Hmm.
fact, I think when Warren goes to the place where that rally is being like that
The security.
rehearsal,
Hmm.
he's like because it's like a security assignment or something like
Yeah.
that. So I think like yeah, it's like I think that's kind of their cover is
Yeah.
that they're a security company. Which security, I mean that's another thing that's kind of, you know, a huge industry,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because it's like now that I'm thinking about it, like the Parallax Corporation, maybe they are like a security company. And maybe like so they're like kind of like they have both foots in both industries, right? Because
Hmm.
as more people are assassinated, you need more security, right? As there's more like
Oh,
political violence, you need more
yeah.
security. So I guess I didn't really think
So
about
it's
that.
like,
Maybe I'm reading into it a little bit too much, but yeah.
no, I mean there's this really interesting idea that like they are not only benefiting as a company that is assassinating people,
Hmm.
but I mean, it almost begs the question, and maybe this is going too far, but it almost begs the question that if the only reason that they're assassinating people at all is so they can like,
Yeah.
right, have more
Stoke fe-
security to
stoke
create the sense
fear,
of
yeah.
fear,
Yeah. Yeah, I
which
guess
in
I didn't really
itself
think
is
about
very
that till just
dark.
now. Yeah, it's again very cynical, right? Because it's the behest
Yeah.
of the market. It's just
Hmm.
market-based decisions. They have nothing to do with like ideology or country or love or happiness or anything like that, right? It's
Fabulous.
just yeah.
Right. Yeah. God, it's one of those films that like the more, because like you watch it and you're like, oh, this is like really fun and like you're having a good time, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
really
like a
dark
rich
piece.
text. Yeah.
Yeah, you can really dig into the piece, and it just makes you just more and more sad
Yeah.
about the way not only the world was seen, but then the series of things that became the world that is today, right? The way things have been
Yeah.
shaped
Yeah, it's definitely
by
very much
it.
the world today. Yeah. Yeah,
So very.
prescient, I guess is what they would call it.
Hmm. Yeah. What a film, huh, Hank?
Hmm. You want to conclude?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that.
All right. I'll just say like I like this movie a lot. It's great. It's prescient. Its tonal thing is weird. I like it, but it's a
Hmm.
little like it's strange how it's kind of like you have the opening scene and then it kind of turns into like this action adventure thing, and
Yeah.
then it becomes like more of a dark political thriller. But I like it. I like Warren Beatty in the movie. He's fantastic. Like you said, there are some moments in the movie that are unbelievable, like the film, the montage, right?
Hmm.
The the ending is amazing. The reveal is amazing. I really like the movie a lot. I think that I'm gonna go with like a 7 out of 10.
Hmm.
But I'm just like kind of like on the fence with it in terms of
Yeah.
like it being like an A, just because like I don't know. It's a little like to me, it's just like maybe a little bit too like inconsistent, but just
Hmm.
like I don't know. Like it looks so good.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough because it's so good.
Yeah. I think I'm almost completely in agreement. While watching the film, especially the first half of the film, I kind of struggled with it. It was moving at a very slow pace. I mean, there's fast moments in it for sure, but it is just so patient of a film. And sometimes I wonder if it was maybe just for my taste, a little too slow, like just not, maybe not enough information is given about like what the parallax
Hmm.
view is, or like what's going on really early on that I struggled with it. But then, once once we get to the second half of this film, where we really get to in the parallax view and we get these incredible sequences like that short film within the film or that last sequence, which is just absolutely incredible. Like I said,
Hmm.
just absolutely beautiful. It's really hard not to love it, and it's really hard
Yeah.
not to love that moment. So I'm very mixed about this. I'm gonna give this a
Hmm.
low 8 out of 10, but I'm definitely someone who struggles with it because there's like parts of this that I absolutely like are I love, are
Hmm.
amazing, are like near perfect, but I think the first 30 to 45 minutes I was kind of struggling to get into, I was kind of struggling with the
Sure.
pacing a bit. So,
Yeah.
a lot of things to love about this piece, but maybe just a couple of things that weren't necessarily for me, but
Hmm.
that doesn't necessarily make them bad. But yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. You can find this podcast wherever you hear podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at With Nothing to Say. And thank you all for listening.
Thanks again.